Just imagine for once. Midnight, a train is stranded right in the middle of a dense forest. The full moon is peeking through the sky, and right then, one by one, the people on the train start disappearing. No one is even getting the chance to scream. Something terrifying and ferocious is hunting them down. Pieces of flesh and blood are splattering around. There is no way out. The doors are locked, there is no signal, and there is no hope of help arriving. What will they do in the end? Did anyone even make it out alive? To know the answer to this question, you have to watch the full explanation.
At the very beginning of the story, we see a station in London where a train is standing. That is the Alpha Track train. A guard of that train is returning after completing his duty. He's completely exhausted from doing overtime, which is clearly visible on his face. The guy's name is Joe Griffin. Everyone calls him Joe. When Joe opens his locker, he finds an envelope there. It is not just some paper, but rather bad news. He was supposed to get a promotion very soon, but instead of getting promoted, one of his colleagues gets promoted instead. That guy is more of an enemy to him than a friend. He comes and starts teasing Joe in various ways and forces another shift's responsibility onto him. Joe has just come from doing overtime. He's completely tired, so why would he do another shift? He could have picked a fight with the supervisor, but a girl named Ellen was standing behind him. Ellen was also on duty then, and Joe probably likes this girl in his mind. For that reason, Joe agrees. At night, the train leaves London from station number 9 and heads towards Eastborough. As a guard, Joe is checking the ticket of every passenger. Just as it happens on a night train, everyone has a different personality. Joe had no plan to do duty today. He's being forced to do the job. His temper is very hot, yet he's enduring everything and carrying out his duty. Meanwhile, he meets a girl named Ellen. Ellen is serving food to the passengers. Joe tries to speak his mind. He proposes going on a date or sitting somewhere to talk, but Ellen doesn't show much interest. On the other hand, a guy named Paul was sitting nearby and eating. He loves to eat very much. While eating, he sees Joe's rejection and makes some mocking comments. Joe was having such a bad night, meaning extra duty and then again a rejection. Anyway, this is life. That train is going through the middle of a forest. However, the moon in the sky today is a full moon, and those of you who have more or less watched werewolf movies or know about them, there is nothing new to explain to you about this full moon. Still, for those who don't know, let me tell you that a werewolf is basically a mixture of a human and a wolf, a separate species. They can take their real form on this full moon or a completely full moon and come into their full form, meaning they get their full strength. Now, that train is moving, but at midnight, the train suddenly stops as if it has collided with something. Joe comes to check then, and he notices that the girl named Ellen, the things with which she serves food have fallen down, and another guy named Adrian is helping her. Adrian has been trying to impress that girl from the beginning, and in the twist of impressing the girl is insulting Joe even more, meaning trying to belittle Joe more.
On the other hand, Joe is really a good guy, doing his duty with full heart. Every passenger who has fallen into various problems, as I said, the train has hit something, resulting in a strong jolt. Many people have fallen from their seats, so Joe is assisting them, helping them, but he needs to know what happened. For that reason, he tries to contact the driver, but the driver gives no response. Actually, the driver has gone outside the train to see what the train collided with. And he can also see that yes, the train hit a deer and that deer has got stuck in the train's wheel. Now a train doesn't just stop from the hit of a mere deer. Anyway, that deer has to be removed from the wheel. It is completely trapped in the wheel. Right then, the driver notices some activity in the forest beside him. It is extremely dark. He cannot see, but there is definitely something or the other there. The sound of some animal or someone's presence. And the very next moment, that invisible entity or the animal we haven't seen yet attacks the driver. It grabs the driver so hard that the driver literally collides with the compartment of the train and it shakes. The girl named Kate sitting inside the train couldn't even realize who hit it so hard. But we can understand what happened to the driver. An animal has caught the driver and proudly kills him. The animal's leg is shown, however, we figure out that this is a werewolf. After some time here, Joe and Ellen go to talk to the driver, but the driver is not there. What will they do now? They directly call the control room, but the signal is very problematic and with great difficulty they get the signal. And we get to know that it is storming and raining heavily outside. Fortunately, it is not happening in this place, but due to the bad weather, trees have broken down on the railway tracks in many places, so the maintenance people are busy there. Since the driver of this train cannot be found and perhaps some repairs are needed for this train, for that reason it will still take 4 hours for people to arrive slowly. And when the passengers get to know this, they get even angrier, thinking what happened? They have to wait here for 4 hours in the middle of this forest. What will they do here for so long? Many people are sick. They panic even more later when they find out that the driver of this train cannot be found at all. The passengers have panicked and are shouting in their own ways. And right then, that guy named Adrian, who was trying to impress Ellen, gives those people a piece of advice. That how far could the next station be? Maybe 2 miles or 3 miles? They should rather start walking along this railway track. Now their phone signal is not being found in the middle of this forest either. If they get a signal while walking is very good, or reaching the next station is even better. Now Joe cannot listen to this talk of theirs because he is a guard. He has a duty. He might even lose his job for this. But every single person starts requesting him in such a way that in the end Joe agrees. And he himself is assisting and leading those people towards the next station. So they all have come outside the train, they are all walking in a line, but someone or the other is there in the side forest. A weird sound of trees is happening. They are thinking the driver might be there, but the driver won't play such pranks. I mean, he won't wander around going into the forest. And obviously the driver is not there, Joe knows that. Because right ahead under a tree, he sees the mutilated body of the driver. Meaning it's as if someone has eaten half of his body. Joe also hears some strange sounds there. He realizes some ferocious animal is there, and he immediately runs taking Ellen with him. He tells every passenger to hurry up to get on the train, and everyone realizes that yes, there is some danger here. Everyone gets up on time, but there was an elderly woman named Jenny who gets a bit late to get up. Just her leg was outside the train, and those animals outside plant a bite on Jenny's leg. Fortunately, Jenny has entered inside the train, but the wound on her leg is so severe that terrible bleeding is happening there.
Someone is moving around outside the train. Everyone realizes it's a ferocious animal and everyone was silent. A terrifying situation has been created inside the train regarding how they will get out. Now Joe again goes and tries to contact the control room, but this time there is no communication anymore, as if the signal is completely dead. The train is not moving either. Why it's not moving, no one knows. But there was a guy named Billy. He was an engineering student and he has more or less an idea about the train's engine, and he realizes that some problem has occurred in the fuel tank of the train, due to which it cannot create any pressure in the oil and because of which the train cannot be started either. So those fuel pipes need to be repaired to start the train first. And at the same time, we also get to see that the antenna attached outside the train is also broken and smashed, meaning some animal intentionally or that werewolf has intentionally broken that antenna so that no one can make any contact from the outside. They are not just some animals, they are actually quite smart. So the people on the train are trying to understand who attacked them from outside. Some wolf, meaning it was howling just like wolves do. But that elderly woman, that is Jenny, she knows that no, it was like a human. A guy named Matthew was there. He's a bit smart, reads books and stuff, has a lot of knowledge. He knows that there are no bears or wolves in this forest for several centuries. And right then, they hear some sound in another coach of the train. 3 guys inside, namely Joe, Billy and Adrian, are going carrying a fire extinguisher. They thought some animal might be there. However, it's not an animal, but rather that guy who loves to eat very much. Actually, the guy is suffering from diarrhea and he's so busy in the toilet that he doesn't know anything about so much that has happened all this time. Although he's told everything about what incidents have occurred, yet there is no fear in his mind or any sadness that an animal is roaming outside and injured driver has died. He has no worry about that. His only sadness is how he missed his own station. Anyway, they are all trapped in that train and those animals have probably climbed on top of the train. They are moving around and the entire train is shaking. Fear is in everyone's mind. And at that moment, a girl named Nina's phone starts ringing. Now in this moment of danger, if someone's phone rings or if a call comes on someone's phone, how will everyone react? Of course, that person will receive the phone, state their danger and ask to send help quickly. But here, the case is different. This girl's relationship with her mother is bad and probably her mother called her and started saying some bad things to her. When the girl receives the phone, everyone then tries to give her advice from the outside saying, tell them where we are, tell them to send help. But Nina cannot make those other people understand what her situation is. So poor thing, while talking, she comes in front of the train window and right then an animal or a werewolf breaks that glass and tries to drag Nina away from there. Kate tries to stop it, meaning tries to hold Nina, but obviously that doesn't become possible. Everyone then panics and moves to another compartment. Now what will they do? They are pointing fingers at one another. That guy named Adrian is pointing fingers at Joe, but everyone knows that Joe has no fault here at all. What will they do now? So then the senior person who was there, meaning the husband of that injured elderly woman, Jenny, whose name is Ged, he advises everyone that those who are outside are hunters. And hunters hunt only those who are weak or who are very easy to catch. So they cannot be afraid here. Rather, they have to take preparation to fight them. How will they take preparation? Well, there are some repair kits inside the train, and taking the help of those, everyone starts making preparations. Firstly, the glass windows. For that reason, they are barricading the glasses properly. Whatever instruments they have, they are doing everything to defend themselves with those instruments.
Adrian goes to Joe again at the right time, trying to do some show-off. From the beginning, we can see two keys with him, and he knows that he's married and he has two houses. In one house, his own wife and kids and stuff are there, and another is a big luxurious flat where he likes to party with girls. But why is he saying these things to Joe? Well, according to him, every person needs to think about their own self for once. He's looking after his own family with heart. Everyone is happy in his family. He has bought another flat for his own entertainment, where he is having various fun and enjoyment. He's also happy, perfectly balanced. So in that way, Joe shouldn't forget about himself on this train, meaning he's obviously fulfilling his own responsibility, but he has to keep himself happy too. He has to survive too. If an opportunity arises, he can push these people into danger and survive himself. The basic talk is that the guy named Adrian has understood that Joe is a useful guy, and to survive in this place or to get out of here, he needs Joe's help. For that reason, he's keeping Joe on his own side, and the two of them are planning to escape separately. On the other hand, that elderly woman Jenny, she's becoming even sicker. She's vomiting blood, even her teeth are falling out of her mouth. The thing is very strange and doubt arises in Adrian's mind as to why this is happening. Although this topic had come up earlier as well, that since that animal or werewolf has bitten Jenny, because of that, Jenny might also be infected and she could turn into such an animal. Such a fear is inside Adrian. But Jenny's husband, that is Ged, shuts Adrian up completely. However, amidst all this, that guy named Paul, meaning the one who likes to eat a bit, is disappearing every time. Where does he go in such situations? Well, he's finally found in that washroom. Actually, he has diarrhea, but his mouth isn't stopping. He's eating as well as going to the toilet. He's got stuck in the toilet, the door wasn't opening. Everyone had closed all doors and windows properly, but no one knew that Paul was stuck in the toilet. For that reason, Joe goes to rescue Paul. But poor Paul's story was only that much. He got stuck in the toilet, the door wasn't opening, and right then, breaking the roof of the train, that animal attacks Paul. It brutally kills Paul. Joe realizes that Paul has no chance of survival anymore, but first he has to save himself. That animal has entered inside the train compartment then, and trust me bro, this makeup was on another level, meaning such a terrifying looking werewolf that literally created a terror inside the train. However, since everyone on the train jointly attacks together, that werewolf, that animal becomes weak alone there, and the most cowardly guy inside the train, meaning Matthew, whose face we could see fear from the very beginning, he finally knocks down that animal, hitting it with an axe. Many people are there on the train, but the senior person who was there, that is Ged, he then tells them an old story of an incident from 1963, when a similar train accident had happened in this forest. The train had derailed. Later, when the rescue team came, many passengers of the train could not be found. Those who were found, their bodies were in half-eaten state. The age of many people inside this train is young, so many do not know about that old incident. However, that Ged uncle who is giving such big lectures, his wife who was bitten by that werewolf is slowly turning. Now other passengers don't know so much. They know that she is probably just sick. Now look, we know many things because we have watched movies. I wish those people had watched movies too. They would have known as well. But Adrian, he's probably watched a lot of movies, and he knows that this infection has spread in Jenny's body and she too will probably turn into such an animal. For that reason, he himself tries to kill Jenny, but he stopped and Joe punches him down to the ground. Joe and the rest cannot understand who is actually right. Will Jenny really turn into an animal, or should Adrian be kept quiet for some time? In the end, they keep both of them tied up there. So now the matter is, how long will they stay in this place like this? They have to get out. That guy named Billy has studied engineering, he knows more or less, and he explains the train controls to Joe and Ellen.
And he goes to fix the leakage, to fix the pipes so that the train can be started and they can temporarily be taken away from here. So when Billy works, he will be helped by that guy named Matthew, meaning that cowardly guy who hit that werewolf with an axe. So his enthusiasm has increased a lot. He has got plenty of courage, and trust me, his courage reaches another level. He can notice some activities in the side forest, someone or the other is moving around, which we have understood from the beginning. However, he hears a girl's voice, but that is not some random girl. She sounds like that girl named Nina, whom a werewolf broke the window glass and took away. He hears that girl's voice. Now, where Matthew's fear flew away at that moment, who was so cowardly, I cannot tell. But taking the axe in hand, leaving his partner Billy there, he goes into the forest to save that girl. I don't know what is going on in his head. He enters inside that forest and gets to see that girl named Nina, who is making sounds, but just half of her body was there. Meaning some quite mature scenes have been shown in this movie to make the ferocity of the animals understood even better. In the darkness of the night, the eyes of the animals glow, and there is definitely not just one animal there, more than one, who all together have surrounded Matthew. Now, a lot of enthusiasm was created in Matthew's mind, but at the real time, those come of no use. The poor guy suffers an untimely death there. By the way, I am keep on saying werewolf, and obviously since the name of the movie is given Howl, so what else would these be other than werewolves? However, the nature of the werewolves in this movie shown a bit different kind. On the other hand, while fixing those fuel pipes, Billy has finally repaired it and electricity comes into that train. According to Billy's words, Joe starts the train and it starts moving, and Billy is hanging underneath, meaning he didn't get time to come out anymore. He didn't get time to come out because outside the werewolves were roaming around, and Joe started the train right after seeing that scene. He thought probably no one else is alive outside. But forget about the outside matter, because another incident has happened inside the train. Jenny was bitten by that animal and she's slowly turning. She too has turned into such an animal, which Adrian had suspected long ago. But they had kept Adrian's hands tied. No one listened to his words at first, although later Kate opens Adrian's hands. Anyway, Jenny, who has completely turned into an animal, is roaming freely inside the train and makes her own husband, that is Ged, her first prey. On the other hand, Adrian, we know how selfish he is. For the sake of surviving himself, he throws Kate out of that train. Poor Kate obviously dies at the hands of those animals, so that Jenny then tries to attack Adrian, but Joe comes on time and saves him. However, their luck is so bad that the train stops again after some time. Because Billy was hanging under that train, he was holding on to the gas pipe support, and because of him, it opens up again and the oil starts leaking. On the other hand, Adrian is keep on changing his colors one after the other. The guy who saved him just a while ago, meaning that guy named Joe, he hits him with a rod and drops him there so that those animals come and take Joe away and he can get out of there. Those animals have entered inside the train, and Adrian takes the train key from Joe, opens the door and quietly gets out of there so that the animals attack Joe and Ellen. Poor Joe and Ellen, they have got completely trapped. But that guy named Billy was still alive then. Taking the oil leaked from the train, he makes a torch, something like a Molotov cocktail. With that fire torch, he scares the animals for a while, but it brings no benefit. That guy also meets his death at the hands of those animals. However, Joe and Ellen get a chance to escape. In no time, morning has also come. Joe and Ellen are escaping through that forest, and those animals, this forest is theirs now. From this kingdom of theirs, these two humans will not be able to return alive, obviously, which Joe has understood very well. For that reason, he gives Ellen the chance to escape from there and himself goes to fight those animals. And Joe fights there with a piece of glass. With great courage, he fights those animals, and probably the pack that was there, the group of animals that was there, their alpha fights with Joe. And Joe shows his own bravery, and those animals do not kill Joe. Rather, their leader plants a bite on Joe's shoulder. He wants Joe to get infected or become like them, and in this way the story of brave Joe ends here. After some time, we see Ellen. She has reached the next station in such a devastated condition. Blood is smeared all over her body. What happened the entire night, she knows very well. And in her hand is Joe's tag. At least she knows how big a sacrifice Joe has made. But the story hasn't ended yet, because that scoundrel Adrian, he's still alive. He's crossing that forest. He has a lot of money, as I said, and he is going saying to himself that he will buy the entire forest and burn it completely with fire. Meaning he will kill these animals. But this time it seems the poor guy's dream won't be fulfilled anymore. He sees Joe ahead in that forest. But is Joe like before anymore? Obviously not. He too has turned into an animal. And this time he will teach Adrian a good lesson. Meaning what he couldn't do in human form, he will show by doing it this time. And this movie ends right here.